Hello, my name is Todd Laddick, and today I'm going to be creating a vegan pork tender roast. I got this off of a website, which I will post, but I figured this is my first time making it, and I figured I would make it with you and see if it's an easy one to make or if it's challenging. I like a good challenge, so we'll see how it goes. But anyway, it is awesome to be able to be cooking with you. As you can see over here, I've got my brown rice cooking, and so while we're cooking that, we're going to get ready by putting together other ingredients. So let's get going. So first things first, you always have to have in mind what you need in order to put any recipe together. Me, I'm a messy cook, working in a messy kitchen. Well, I wouldn't call it a messy kitchen, but certainly a kitchen that's been well used. And we're always on the go, so we put things down, we wash them later, you know how it goes. I'm sure most of us are that way. But you always need to be prepared for what you need. So I'm a messy cook, therefore I go on the dark side and wear my Darth Vader my Darth Vader apron. And so let's begin. We're gonna start cooking. First thing I need to do is prepare my ingredients, and so that is exactly what I'm going to do. First thing I need to do is wash and slice 12 ounces of mushrooms. Now I only have 10 ounces of mushrooms, so we're gonna make do with 12 ounces, but find as close to a 12 ounce package of mushrooms. If you can find them pre-sliced, great. What I have in the fridge is whole mushrooms, so I'm gonna slice them up. That's easy enough. And so that's the first step, 12 ounces of sliced mushrooms. So we'll stem these and slice. Probably don't even really have to de-stem them, really. You probably just do this. And that's exactly what I'm gonna do, because why take that extra step if it's unnecessary? Everything softens up when you cook it. And this is gonna get basically mashed up anyway. These have been washed. I took the liberty of doing that. Always good to do that with your mushrooms, as they tend to have dirt on them. So when all is said and done, the pork roast will be we'll have apples and onions along with it, and it should be delicious. Looks like it might be a bit of a challenging recipe. There's a bit of components that go into it and a few steps, but I like to try a challenge. Sometimes it comes out great, other times it takes more practice, and I'm okay with that. It's all a learning process. My biggest difficulty, and I'm sure many of you find this, is finding the time to cook. I love cooking, but it often takes me more time than I'm allotted in a given day, given my profession and the amount of time that goes into what I have to do in a given week. So I like to recycle and not make dishes if I can help it, so I'm just going to put these sliced mushrooms right back into the package where I got them from, and that will hold them like that. And yeah, there you have it, sliced mushrooms. So the next step is to unravel the 8 ounces of tempeh from the plastic it's in. Not sure exactly what I'm going to do with that tempeh yet, so I'm just going to take it out of the plastic until I read the directions and see what it has me do with it. The directions just say 8 ounces of tempeh, so we'll take the tempeh out, make sure that that's ready to go. Tempeh, in case you don't know this, you can find it right by where the tofu is sold, and it comes in like rectangular blocks, and it's basically edamame, soybeans, pressed and fermented together for a period of time, and they put cultures and stuff like that in it, so it basically presses and ferments into a block, and then you can cut that into slices, and it has a meaty, somewhat nutty but meaty texture. Not nutty texture, but meaty texture, and it has like a bit of a nutty taste. But when you heat it up and you add stuff to it like marinades or sauces, it absorbs the flavor just like tofu. It absorbs it better when it's heated, but you can certainly marinate stuff, like if you want to make buffalo tempeh, just pour buffalo sauce in and let it sit in the refrigerator for a while. As that thickens up, you can cook that in, and have a buffalo whatever. So it's it's a very versatile, meaty texture, versatile alternative meat, and is quite tasty. One of my actual favorite soy meat products. So really, really love and recommend tempeh. So I'm going to pull that out now. So as you can see, this is the tempeh. It's Light Life makes the most common kind that you can find pretty much all across the country in your supermarket, in the produce section next to where they have, the alternative meat deli slices and tofu, and tempeh is one of them. Another product that Light Life makes with tempeh is called Fakin' Bacon. I highly recommend it. It's really awesome. But here it is, tempeh. So I'm going to open this package up. You can do that easily with a pair of scissors. And you just cut as close to the tempeh as you can, because it's usually double wrapped. You got the outside plastic and you have the inside plastic. So you'll see where I have this, right? I'm cutting very close to the outer line here, and or the inner line, I should say, right by where the plastic is. Take that off, and you'll see that the outer plastic peels away. And the inner plastic will have some holes, so you can get the scissors in there and cut it even better. So that's what I'm doing right now. Almost there. Now, you may see discoloration. That's a natural part of the fermentation process. It doesn't taste any different, doesn't mean it's bad. You'll see like it's a little darker in spots and a little lighter in others. That's quite normal. Sometimes it gets even darker than this. It all tastes the same. It's not bad. So don't worry about that if you see it. Tempeh. I'm going to put this aside for now and look at the next ingredient. Let's check that out. So the next thing you'll see is that I have a whole beet here. I have skinned it. I peeled it and I rinsed it off. And now I'm just going to grate about 2 tablespoons worth. That should do. Put that in the bowl, and bam, you have, and again, I'm not going to let this go to waste. I'll just, a little excess is just going to make it look more meaty. Nothing like beets to add the color of blood. So there you go. Shredded, grated beets. Ah, the blood, the blood, the blood. So I looked a little bit ahead at the directions, and it says to cut the tofu into about 1-inch chunks. So, give or take, I'm going to cut them, let's see here, about an inch, probably less than an inch, but, roughly. Probably about an inch, roughly 1-inch chunks. These are all going into the food processor. I'm using a Japanese Sentoku knife, but you can use any knife of your variety that is sharp and works. The next thing that I have to do is I have to saute these until they're golden brown. Now you'll notice that I'm allowing my rice to cook, and while my rice is cooking, I'm going to saute and prepare the food to the best I can in the time that is cooking. And then, of course, when it is done, This needs to set aside and cool. This will need to set aside and cool. So I have everything pretty much prepped and ready to go by the time the rice is cooled. That's the idea anyway. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn on the stove to about medium high, somewhere there. I don't want to go too high with it. And this is a Pampered Chef. My wife sells Pampered Chef, by the way, and I can put a link there if you're in need of good Pampered Chef items. I don't sell them, but my wife does, and they're a good product. I enjoy cooking with them and using them. This is an oil sprayer, so you put regular canola or olive oil in it. You pump it up. Like so. And you spray. And I do this because I don't like to put a whole glopping thing of oil in it. I always end up over pouring when I use the oil bottle. This will heat up, and as it heats up, then I'll put the mushrooms in and saute them till they're golden and tender. Also, I like to keep things as low fat as possible. And the nice thing about using something like this, and other brands sell it besides Pampered Chef, but I like the Pampered Chef version. The good thing about that is that it doesn't have any chemicals or anything that ends up leaving some weird residue in your pans. I've had pans ruined by trying to utilize the PAM sprays, which have chemicals and aerosols in it that coat the pan and end up burning to the pan and sticking and wrecking the pan. So this is just plain oil, and it just with adding air into it and pressuring it up, it sprays out like PAM, and it ends up being lower calorie, a lower fat, which is good. So this heats up fairly quickly. You can hear it sizzling already, which is the beauty. Take my teakwood spoon and just stir a little bit. Let it get nice and soft and hot and tender, and just let that saute for a little bit. And yeah. And so, as I saute the mushrooms, just want to tell you, one of the things that I love about cooking vegan is you don't hurt any animals. So this is cruelty free. It's using the good stuff nature gave us, and it's healthy and tends to be, depending on how you make things, lower in fat, lower in calories, high in protein, and really the sky's the limit to how you cook things. I used to think that by being vegan I would be somehow limited, but I'm not limited at all. As a matter of fact, I cook so many more diverse foods ever since being a vegan. And so, it's important to recognize that being vegan does not mean sacrificing the food you eat. You won't eat meat, and you won't eat dairy, you won't eat eggs, or if you're vegetarian, you'll not eat meat, fish, chicken, that sort of thing. But you'll eat eggs and dairy. But either way, you're opening yourself to a wide variety of cooking and adventurous culinary learning, as I like to call it. If you're adventurous, you'll love vegan food. Even if you don't switch to being vegan, why not change it up a little bit and cook some vegan things? So, so that's great. Let the liquid cook out just a little bit more. I love mushrooms, man. They add meat to whatever you cook. If you're not a mushroom fan, not all mushrooms are bad, even if you don't like them. They can be minced up and pureed into something and cooked in it, and it's a meat, and you would never know there was mushrooms in it. Mushrooms themselves, depending on the mushroom, don't have a tremendous amount of taste. So if you add seasoning and stuff to it, you're not going to taste anything different than what it's seasoned to taste like, barring things like shiitake mushrooms or porcini mushrooms, which have a beefier, stronger flavor, but still, I'd say that's good right there. So we're going to put that aside. I like to use prep bowls because it helps keep everything organized and easy to assemble when the time comes. Makes a little more dishes, but makes your life simpler in my mind. Putting something in the dishwasher doesn't take much effort. Trying to figure out what goes where and when can be a problem, especially if you don't have it properly organized. So there we go. Sauteed mushrooms. So while we're waiting for the rice to cook, gonna take about a quarter cup of, I did that almost perfectly, quarter cup of quick oats, like that. Quick oats meaning the 1 minute oats. You'll see I'm using good old fashioned Quaker oats, quick 1 minute oats. Well, that is the rice, is it not? So I'm going to take the quarter cup of flour. Maybe a little bit less than that. There, quarter cup of flour. Pour that in here. This is all going into the food processor, so you don't have to worry. You can just keep it all together. No worries about that. So then I'm going to use a tablespoon of olive oil, which is optional. For the juices, I'll just use, for the liquids, I'll use a measuring cup just to keep the dry and the liquid solid, though separate, though I don't think it matters too much. But we're gonna take some extra virgin olive oil, a tablespoon, I believe it said. Yep, 1 tablespoon, which honestly, does not matter too much. This might come out a little red because I have some olives in it, or some beets in it, I mean. And so that's okay though. Morton salt, you can use whatever salt you like. That'll go into the dry stuff. One pet peeve of mine about recipes is that they put the dry stuff and the liquid stuff mixed in together, and I find it easier to. Now, if you want to use low sodium, you could, obviously put less salt than this in there. But I find that, it'd be easier to list the dry things first and then the liquid, so that way you can separate it out. Again, I like to prep stuff. So equal parts black pepper and salt. Like that. Oops. Well, good thing I like black pepper because I just poured a little extra in there. And then it calls for 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. 1, 2. There we go. And I'm right. I've got about 1 teaspoon left in there. 1. 2. Okay. One tablespoon of liquid smoke. To the oil. Now, I don't mind adding a tablespoon of oil into a recipe. It's, when you cut it up into the amounts that you're eating, it's not going to cost you that many calories, fat or points, depending on how you put it. But you definitely want to, make sure that you're keeping an eye on how much oil if you're health conscious, how much oil you use. It's never good to add too much. We're going to put in a half a teaspoon. I love that, I have this metal measuring spoons, so I can find them all where I need them. This is right here, half a teaspoon. So I'm going to put in exactly 1 of these. Bam. And I think that's also a half teaspoon. Yes, it is. And a little more, whatever. Okay. So there you go. You have liquid, dry. I'm going to set these aside. And also, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out 2 cups of rice. The rice is now done. I'm using some of this rice as well, so we doubled the recipe. So I'm going to scoop out a good, we have a rice scoop, but I'm not going that deep with it, so I'm not worried about the lining or anything like that. We'll just take out 1 cup and scoop in another cup worth. This rice seems like it came out perfect. By the way, I'm using brown rice. I always use brown rice, whether it calls for it or not. This recipe did not say brown rice, so hopefully the brown rice works. I don't see why it wouldn't, but brown rice is just so much better for you, and I actually personally like the flavor, so there we go. Okay, so we got rice now that we're going to put aside, and now we're going to wait a little bit, and we'll wait a little bit and make sure that the rice is cool and all of that, and then we'll pull out the food processor and mix it all together and see what it looks like, and then we should really be having fun. So there's one other thing that I realized I could be making while I wait for everything to cool off, and that's the garlic paste, which is going to get rubbed onto the loaf, and so which will end up becoming the tenderloin. And so in order to do that, and while I'm waiting, I figured I would do that. So here we go. This is how we're going to make garlic paste, and I have a couple of tricks that help me make garlic paste rather quick instead of doing it the long and hard way. The first trick is I go to a local farmer's market, and or you can go to your supermarket. Usually they sell it, and I buy already peeled garlic cloves, so you don't have to worry about peeling your own garlic cloves. That's huge. The other thing that I do is I bought, again, Pampered Chef, a garlic press. So it calls for very, very finely minced garlic. Now I could sit there all day with my, my knife and finely chop that up. But why not press it through these nice little holes, which will make it basically finely chopped up, maybe a little oily, but that's okay. Garlic almost paste, and then you add the other stuff to it, and it'll make it a paste. So let's see how this works. So you need 3 to 4, and I'm going to pick good-sized garlic cloves. So I'm going to put this in here and just press it one at a time. I always use the knife to scrape it off, it just makes it easier. But we'll just keep pressing these. Again, literally as easy as that. Looking like that, as you can see, kind of fine minced garlic. And we're gonna do salt, a teaspoon of salt. So there's a teaspoon of that, and with the pepper. Put a teaspoon of the pepper in. Oops, again, put a little too much, but that's okay, I like spice. And then a teaspoon of the olive oil. And basically, I should just have to stir this, mix it around, and maybe mash it a little bit with a spoon just to make it a paste. But that should be pasty. Got a paste in there now. Garlic paste. So, with minimal to no work because of the 2 tricks that I showed you, the pre-peeled garlic and the garlic press from Pampered Chef. So rock on. And so now we're to the part where I'm going to mix all of this in a food processor. You do need a food processor for this recipe. I recommend a decent size. The small ones are good for for basic sauces and salsas and things like that. But if you want to make like something like this, where it's an actual loaf or meal or something of bigger size, you definitely don't want to use a small food processor. So get a larger one. That you can find them at Walmart fairly cheap, and they just come in such handy. So here we are. We're going to mix the ingredients together and process them into a pasty like substance that can be formed into a loaf. So here we go. I'm going to take off the put this facing right, and we're going to just add the ingredients. So I'm going to add we'll do the mushrooms first. Not sure if any juice is supposed to get in there, but we shall see. Add the flour. And spices like so. Add the beets like so. There you go. And of course you're gonna add the tempeh. All of that's fun stuff that goes right into this. Like so. Make sure, and we're gonna add the rice, of course. Now you see why you want a large you want the large food processor, because as you can see, this is gonna go right to the brim right here. It says it should take about a minute to chop up and blend into a paste or dough of sorts. I don't know if paste is the right word, but we shall see. So there we go. We have all of the ingredients that I can see. Oh, we gotta add the flavor, the oil and the liquid smoke right into there. Now we're gonna close this fun thing like so. Take this out that got caught in there. That there for now. And here we go. And so we're going to stop for a second. As you can see, it's quite tough. So we're just going to flip this over, and as you can see, it's making a nice raw meat look to it. I thank the beets for that. And we'll try that and see if we can get some of this chunkier stuff to the bottom. If need be, I'll take some of this out. It's always, but that's why you want a large food processor. I'm just gonna keep it going. Again, you can see some of these chunks of tempeh still at the bottom there, and we're just going to push those to the bottom so that they get chopped, since the pasty stuff is already there. It really looks like raw meat. Kind of a miracle how you can, with beets, man, they really make it look legit. See. That's looking pretty good right there. I am thinking that is about done. So there we go. There you have it. And this we're gonna take out and shape into a nice, delicious loaf. And now, hopefully this is a good surface to do this on. It just makes the most sense for me right now. I'm gonna take this off. We're gonna form this into a loaf, theoretically. We shall see. It's pretty sticky. Imagining some of it will stick to the plate. I'm just gonna get my hands dirty because I'm gonna be getting my hands dirty. So why not just go in? I washed my hands, and I'm the one eating it anyway. There we go. So yeah, I don't know if that's really gonna. Not sure how that's really working. Okay, so basically I'm at the step now where I've got to turn this mixture into a loaf. I tried to do it with my hands, just scooping it out and putting it onto the cutting board, but that didn't work quite so well. It's pretty sticky and it doesn't necessarily form into a solid roll. So I'm going to try a different way of doing it. I'm debating between putting it on top of an already wet rice pad, because you cover it with rice paper to make an outer skin, so to speak. And I'm thinking about doing that, but it doesn't call for that, so I might just put it on a cookie sheet, which I have ready. I have a cookie sheet here ready, and I'm just waiting for the hot water to cool down so I can run the hot water, so run the paper through the warm water, and then we're gonna give it a go. I have to rub some oil on it and then put rub that paste on it. Half that paste goes on the loaf, half the paste and liquid smoke gets put on top of the paper. So we're gonna see how this goes. But yeah, so there we go. So you can see I scooped it out as best I could from this wonderful bowl onto this pan. You can see I've put the paste on it, the garlic paste, half of the garlic paste. Now it's going to be time to attempt the rice paper. I've never done this before, so we're gonna see how it goes. I did also, one thing is, instead of putting rice paper down, because I was afraid that was just not gonna work, what I did was I did grease the pan, so hopefully it can slide a little bit and not get as stuck as it did before. So here we go. We're gonna try this out. Okay. Get rid of this bowl. And we're gonna put rice paper in warm water. Now it should take 4 or 5 or 6 of these until it gets pliable. About 15 seconds. 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, 5 1000, 6 1000, 7 1000, 8 1000, 9 1000, 10 1000, 11 1000. I can feel right now that's pliable. Okay, and we're just gonna wrap this. Now these are rather big, so I don't know it's gonna take quite as much. Yeah, well, we're gonna find out. And this is what I was afraid of. But I did it. Ooh, did I do it? Okay, that's 1. This is working. Oh my goodness, this is working. 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, 6 1000, 7 1000, 8 1000, 9 1000, 10 1000, 11 1000, 12 1000. Yep. It takes about 12 seconds actually to get the right consistency. So there we go. And now it should be easier to roll, and it is, because guess what? It's not gonna have fingerprints in it and whatnot, but that's okay. Now, that's 2 ends, and I just gotta do another end and another end. It'll be a bit thick. But as you can see, it's putting a skin on it. Not a real skin, because that would be ew, right? So we're gonna just rub some of this, do some of that, all this fun flavoring that is supposed to be, just rubbed all around with tender, loving care. This is the garlic paste that I made earlier. that I showed you a couple of shortcuts to making it quick and easy. And it's probably the quickest and easiest thing out of this whole recipe that I've made. So we'll do that. And then we're going to just turn this over. Oh, you know what I forgot before I turn this over? Oops. Well, didn't want to do that much, but hey, why not? So you just rub it around like that. Some liquid smoke is going to be smoky. Some liquid smoke, I may not put any more on just because. I'll just roll it around like that and count that as liquid smoke. Okay. There we go. So, there you have it. And we should be good. Like that, like so. And then one more step. So I have basically the oven preheated to 325. Now all I'm going to do is just quickly and easily tie this around just to keep it all intact. I think it would probably be intact whether you did or not, but who knows what the heat does to the rice paper when it's in the oven. So adding onions to the pan, which I took the liberty of chopping, and also adding apples, which I have yet to slice, but I'm going to use a green and a red apple just to change it up. I'm going to slice it with this Pampered Chef slicer and put it on the pan and cook it. So we'll see how that goes. One thing I meant to say is you're supposed to loosely cover it with foil. So I'm going to loosely cover it with foil, I guess, to give it room to expand a little bit. And then you cook that at 425. Or excuse me, you cook that at 325 in the oven for an hour. Then you pull it out, you take the foil off, cook it for another 15 minutes at 425. Then you should be good to go. So, and by the way, the foil only goes around the tenderloin, not the apples and other stuff. So apples, onions, and a few fresh rosemary sprigs, if you'd like to add that, go on the pan around the roast and get roasted with it. And yeah, you're good to go. So it's been an hour, and I'm gonna just pull this right out of the oven. Now, this tenderloin is supposed to, some of these onions are a little burnt, but that's because they fell apart, and that's okay. I'm going to just undo this wonderful, beautiful tenderloin. And some of it coming off. But that's okay. You know what I should have done is sprayed it with oil on the outside, but that's okay. Some of it came off a little bit. So we'll just eat that part first. But overall, came out pretty good. Next time I'll just spray down with a little oil before putting it in. But as you can see, now you cook it at 425. So we're going to turn this up to 425. And you cook it a little higher they say for 15 minutes. I'm going to go 20 because it's going to take a little bit of time to heat up to 425. So there we go. Push this back in. By the way, this is again another Pampered Chef item. It's basically a oven mitt, but it's got grip and it's nice. Like it. Not that I'm trying to sell you. Pampered Chef stuff, but my wife does sell them. So if you're interested and don't have a person who sells them. Okay, so it's time to pull this out. Now I'll admit I took a peek and well, it looks like maybe I shouldn't have put the apples and the onions in so quickly. But there's some of them are still salvageable, and I don't mind a little burnt. So the ones that aren't too burnt, I'll still eat and see how it tastes. But the pork loin came out perfect, so as far as I could tell. So here it is. Pay more attention to the pork loin and less to the apples, and look at that. It looks yummy. So we shall see how it goes. But there it is, folks. Vegan pork roast, or vegan porkless roast. Right there. Now, if you remember that I said that this side kind of got a little bit, it pulled off a little bit because I didn't oil the inside of the aluminum foil or the outside of the paper. But it still looks like it's going to be fairly sliceable even as such. So regardless, it is pretty crispy on the outside, and once I get past that mush part, and even that part right there, still sliced fairly decent. So it looks good. And so that's it. That's the recipe to make vegan porkless roast. Again, where I pulled this isn't my own recipe. Where I pulled this recipe from, I'll post and give credit to it. This is my first time making it, and overall, I would rate it a medium, medium skill level recipe. But honestly, I didn't find it too hard of a medium. It's more on the easier side of medium. Maybe making it twice will come out better than the first time as you learn, or maybe you learn from some of my own mistakes. But I would say that basically it's on the easier side of medium, but a medium skilled recipe. And don't let the rice paper scare you. You can easily buy it on Amazon, which is what I did. And when you do, you will find that basically it comes within a day. It's on your porch. You put it in warm water. It turns into that substance that you saw and wraps easy and doesn't really break too easy. So it was not scary at all. In fact, that was one of the easier parts of making this. And as you saw, it wasn't really hard. It's just a matter of having the right tools, such as a large food processor. But other than that, fairly easy. I would definitely make this again. I mean, it's not something I'd make every week, but something I would make maybe for a special occasion or holiday. So peace out. This is the vegan, the inked vegan chef, and I am saying see ya.